welcome to Season 2, Episode 4 of the Problem Half podcast. And I'm delighted to say that today I'm joined with Tom Burgess. Tom, how are you, mate?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Good to see you. So, obviously, we've bumped into each other briefly at the Let's Talk About Suicide event.
Yes, we did.
Victoria Park. And I think I'll jump straight in and ask. So, well, not even ask, I think I'm just going to put it out there. So, I think events like that probably show how important they are. Because if that didn't take place, we wouldn't have met. We wouldn't be having this conversation, and we wouldn't be spreading the message and trying to break the stigma down.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell me then. So what have you been up to recently?
So actually, I mean, like what you're saying there about it's one thing leads into the other, doesn't it? And we don't really recognise what it is at the time. It's only when we look back on that day and we realise that was a pivotal day. So we understand what's going to fall out from this and the coming days and weeks. But providing we have a good intention and put the right foot forward as well, and continually push that peg forward one peg at a time, we're making progress. So thanks for having us here, mate. I went down to that Let's Talk About Suicide event. It was a good day. It was a really good day, powerful day. Bloody hot. Sweltering. I had to cycle down there as well. But I went down there. I know Hannah was doing her chat up on the stage, and I wanted to come down, and I know she was going to talk about her background and everything else. I wanted to be there in the crowd, but on the walk around I saw you guys with your stand and got chatting with George, and it dawned on me that okay, this is these are two guys that I need to have a chat with. So,
and I think that's exactly why we went. And I was pretty anxious, to be fair. When I went, I was pretty anxious because one of what the event was about, and I was quite anxious about the thought of being open to people just coming up to you and just asking you about what your stand is and why. And I'd come away from that and I was high on life because of the conversation I had, and you're speaking to people you don't know, and you're having a real honest conversation about things. And there were some people who came up to me and they necessarily didn't have a story, or they never experienced poor mental health. They was going there to show support, to show just because I haven't been through poor mental health doesn't mean I wouldn't still be here to support you if you needed it. And I think little things like that was what stuck with me the most. And I think it really opened up my eyes to especially me, when I was going through my journey of trying to better my mental health, I was worried about people who wasn't in the same boat or hadn't been through the same journey sort of judging me. And I think that's because people's like, put yourself in their shoes, but if you haven't been, you can't really imagine it or imagine the pain of what they've been through. So doing that event, and that was 3 years later, so this is going about 3 years to when I took an overdose, and I think that was probably one of the first times that I realised that, start being open to people, just even people that ain't been through it, because they're still there to support you. And that's why we do this is why we do this podcast. It's because people will watch it who haven't experienced poor mental health, but they're still watching it and they're still showing support. Like, this is the fourth one we've done on YouTube, and I think the 3 that we've done, the support and the praise and the comments from people that I've received, it's quite really overwhelming.
Right.
And like Jack was saying, Jack, the man behind the magic, I was really, really nervous doing the first one. Like, I could be sick doing the first one. One, for judgment. I was worried that if it fucked up or if the conversation wasn't right, then it would be judged, you know, the reputation, I suppose, about you didn't do a good job, you know, and then it's like you're putting that stress on yourself and that pressure of I've got to get this right, otherwise it would probably make me lose my mind. So, but this exposure and talking about mental health, I think, is a conversation that should just be normalised anyway.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, by doing this podcast, we achieve it. I think we are doing that. I've had 4 or 5 blokes message me just about their mental health since.
Nice. Well done, mate.
One talked to me about, they're back in November, but one was talking about they suffer with PTSD, depression, anxiety, and they're going through IVF.
Me too.
They watched George's.
Me too. Yeah.
Brilliant. So, and he turned around and he said he watched the one that I'd done with George. And obviously George done 11 rounds. And he said he watched that, opened up his eyes, and it gave him inner strength to carry on with that journey. So I think that shows why this is why I do it.
No, it's powerful stuff. You're a storyteller around the fire back in the day, you know.
With a little lady.
I'm probably going a bit more ancient than that. If you want to go there, ukulele, you can have a ukulele if you want, pal, it's all right. But, you know, you've created a platform. You created a soapbox. You know, it's a powerful thing that you're doing here, mate. And, you know, it's that those nerves that you experienced on the first one, you know, you put any other human in here, I guarantee everyone will have that.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely okay. Kind of enjoy it.
Yeah.
I get it every single time. Pulling up on the car park here, and I'm like, okay, we have no idea where it's going to go.
No.
And, you know, World War II test pilots, you know, flying a plane for the first time, you know, they were, and then trying to then break the sound barrier. So they would get up to the speed of sound, and this plane that's never done it before starts vibrating and shaking, and they're losing control a bit, and nuts and bolts are falling off. And that's that sort of like shudder, that flutter, that pain they're getting through. As soon as they broke the sound barrier and they went past it, everything calms down.
Yeah.
You know, so like transfer that over into nerves of going into something for the first time, the fear of unknown. You know, we're all going to get it. You just got to.
I think it's pretty much anxiety. It's pretty much being anxious of the situation you're about to walk into, and like you said, that first one, it was the unknown, and I think, and like I said just before when I said about I was worried about it fucking up, me get it wrong, and then I remember watching a quote. I read a quote, and it was, "When you're anxious, just bring yourself back to where your feet are."
Ground. Got
So then I was like, okay, just enjoy the moment. This is the moment I'm in. Can't think about or make scenarios in my head about what can happen down the line, or worry about what's happened before, because what happened before has led me to this moment, and only this moment can determine where this path takes me going forward. So that's the one thing I do now is when it comes to the recording day, I'm able to crack a dawn and I'm just buzzing because I'll get through it with having conversations and meeting people, because you learn so much from speaking to people. I think you learn more talking to others than sometimes you do reading online. And
of course, yeah. A book is not interactive, is it?
No.
You know, you can't ask a question of a book. Page 1. Oh, what does that mean? Definitely silence. you know, I can ask you a question, you'll give me a response, and depending on how you feel on that day, depending on the response you give, you know, depending where you sat, who you're with, it's a different thing, isn't it? And yeah, and it's that connection with humanity that we sometimes run away from when we're hurting, you know, because we, you know, and I say we, you know, probably sort of like May, June, July last year, when I was lying to myself about the alcohol and, you know, the problem that I was running away from, I was going out and doing lots of bushcraft and being out in the woods and on my own. And at the time I'm thinking, this is really good because I'm out in nature, I'm doing a hobby, I'm doing stuff. But when that's at the expense of quality time with my wife and choosing to go and do that over other things, it turns out to be not healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, I got very good at bushcraft, don't get me wrong, and I made a great hut out in the woods, and my skills are, if the world ends, I can make a fire and I can look after myself. But when I look back with the knowledge I have now, it was me running away from the problem. And it was only when I actually had that breakdown in the living room and I said, look, there's a problem here, I need fixing. And my wife, she was in the NHS at the time as a midwife. She worked in mental health, so she kind of got what was going on. And I was like, fix me. What, as a professional, what do I need to do? So she took her wife hat off and she put the medic hat on, and she went, right, you need to do this, this, and this. And I did it. And that was the turning point. That was the start. But it took a long time. Yeah, we're talking decades to sort of get to that point. And it started at school.
It's funny as well because that's exactly how mine went. I had trauma through my childhood. I lost my granddad, and he's the only person I've lost in my family. Touch wood. And me and Mum was one of the last to see him. And I was 9, 8, and then 11. Witnessed domestic abuse between Mum and Dad. So me and my sister witnessed that, and at that age never dealt with it. And then it wasn't until May 2020 that, 21 I would have been. 21? Yeah, 21. Fucking hell.
Lifetime ago.
yeah. And it wasn't until I was woke up in hospital and sat down and started to strip it all back. And it was like a Coke bottle, and it was just all these little things that was going on. It was just another minnow in the Coke bottle. And then it got to a point where I'd never taken the cap off to release it, it just bang, and that was it. So I think that's like you were saying, you had decades of this build-up of hurt and I guess in a sense confusion about what was going on. Was it confusing? Would you say it was confusion in your mind? What? Because you couldn't work out how to fix what was going on or how to get out of that.
Yeah, I mean, confusion. I mean, at the time I didn't have the language to understand what it was. So confusion's a great word. I used to call it buckaroo. We'll just put another little bit of thing on there and we'll take it. We'll take the weight. I hold all of the stress in my shoulders and my neck. I'm tense. And last night I'm sat there, fucking hell, my neck's sore. Yeah. The alarm's something's going on. There's a bit of stress going on here. I process through all of that daily now through meditation. But at the time, I'll just take it. I'll just carry it, put it in the burger and I'll carry it. And that buckaroo effect, it could be the slightest look from someone about something not related to anything, and all of a sudden I'm going to kick off about that which was 3 weeks ago. And so a volatile, not nice person to be around. I mean, I wouldn't want to be around with the old Tom. If I had to flat share with the old Tom, I'd probably have words about the way he was acting. And that's the growth I've gone through in a year and a bit.
And I think what complimented as well is the fact, the honesty there, where you're saying you didn't like the old Tom, and you're very aware of just how much you wouldn't want to be around that person, and like you're saying, it shows growth in terms of now you can look back and go, fuck me, look at me now compared to back then. So, can I ask, when you say you had that breakdown to your wife, do you know what it was what it was that made you want to get help? Because some people obviously get to a point where, unfortunately, they don't want help, or they don't get to a point where they can feel like they can say the words, what can I do to help me? So what was that conscious decision that made you?
Okay. I'm an alcoholic. I've been an alcoholic since I first put a drink to my mouth. And that's not because I am addicted to alcohol. It's because of my nature. I have an addictive personality.
Okay.
Swap it out for alcohol, put cocaine in the mix.
Okay.
Yeah, swap it out for those things. If I'm training heavily at the time, too much running, over-exercising, binge watching TV, gaming on Xbox, you name it, I'm all in all the time. And that's a character trait of an ace's childhood. And the flip switch, the point where there was that transition from I'm carrying on in my life how I had it back then, just drinking, getting other people drunk to mask my getting pissed. Yeah, we know it, the party guy. Yeah, Jägerbomb Tom, that was my nickname out on parties. But let's get everyone tanked up so I can get even more tanked up, and no one will remember. That was the thing. When I'm stood in the living room, so August 17th last year, my wife is like, "You're drinking too much. Why don't you admit that you've got a problem?" And I'm like, and I've known it all my life. And it was that uppercut from looking at the teary eyes of the woman I love more than anything on this planet. And it was, right, Tom, you've been lying to us. I'm a dishonest junkie, right? I've been lying and numbing with alcohol and just not looking after myself most of my life and getting away with it.
There's two things there. So I used to use alcohol as a suppressor, and I used to use it as an excuse to not face the issues that I was going through. Until I woke up hungover and they come back tenfold.
So I've got a word for that, right? It's called running the rails.
Okay.
All right, and so we get this healthy dose of shame from whatever it was in our past, yeah, and then we go into denial and we're like, nah, don't worry about it, we'll just crack on, we'll be all right. And then on our way past denial, we skip past the route out of this, which is accessing grief and actually grieving for whatever it was, and we go fucking sprinting past that to the pub or the nightclub or wherever it is we're going. And when we get there, we numb the shit out of ourselves and get blind drunk, and we go on a 3-day bender and spend money that we haven't got and hurt people that we, shouldn't hurt and all of that. And then on Monday when we go back to work and we're sat there at 9 o'clock going, shouldn't be this hungover. That's when the shame kicks back in again. And it's not just that shame, it's this as well. Don't worry, because we're going to do it all again on Friday night. No. Or maybe if you're hardcore enough, you could do it on a Tuesday, Wednesday and a Thursday. All right. And that's the running the rails. It's just that 7-day cycle of just topping up.
Yeah, I love that.
And, that's not my words, that's Sabre Warrior words. I got taught that. And it's like, as soon as they went, here, turn to page 7. This is how you've had your life, your entire life. Does that sound familiar? And I'm like, they've got me again. Yeah, absolutely.
But you saying about yourself and through the drinking, really quite a lot. Now I love it. I could read it every day. I could read it every morning. It's the person you spend the most time with in your life is yourself. Be nice to that person.
Yeah. That was your post last night. I saw it.
I fucking And
it landed.
It hit me because I think we spend so much time worrying about other people. I'm bad for it. I was one of those that I just wouldn't say no to people because I felt I had to help or I had to do this or do that, even if it was me putting my own state of mind to the side. So if I would say, now I guess it's different because I have people that would message me at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning saying they're in a bad way, and that's different. But when there was other things and I was in bed, it was like, okay, yeah, no problem. And it was like, fucking hell, I'm getting ready to go to bed. I'm here to rest, to get more rest. So I think it taught me to actually be okay with sometimes saying no. Like drinking down the pub with my mates, like, I find an excuse to go. Even if I didn't have the money, I find a way to go. Because
and there are people that facilitate it as well. No, I can't go because I haven't got the money. Don't worry, mate. I'll give you 20 quid. Back in the day when 20 quid could actually buy you a couple of pints and some crisps. But that 20 quid goes real quick. And then it's sort of 8 o'clock at night. And you're like, everyone's gearing up to go to the next bar. And you're like, oh, it's all right. Don't worry. I'll call Barclays and extend the overdraft.
And I had the fear of missing out. And I went 6 months sober. And what it done for me was fucking masses, and the one thing that stuck with me was you actually learn the people you rather be sat round a table with rather than sat round a table in the pub with. Completely different people. They're not your mates, some of them. They're just there for you to facilitate what they want to do in a pub. You're pissed off and doing whatever.
The thing is, mate, because those people they don't really want to see you fixed and healed.
No, exactly.
Because, that's the circle. That's the, everyone's numbing and doing the same thing, and that's okay. And I'm not saying that everyone's hurt, broken, and all of that. And people just like to go out and drink. It's a British culture. It's a thing. But when you do give up the thing that's making you sick, right? Alcohol is a poison. Yeah. Okay, fact. When you give it up and say, sorry, not today, you're now putting other people's nose out of joint. You're just like, what's the matter with him? Like, oh yeah, well, spending too much time with Bart, or and then you get guilted into doing the right thing. And then God forbid you say, lads, why don't you stop drinking as well? It's great because now you're the believer, you're the healed guy, and like, no, we don't like. Then you're getting a bit of shame from them. Yeah. It's peer pressure, And
I think you learn experiences and you gain the least from experiencing it yourself. So like you saying to me, say like if I'd never had that stint of going sober, and you said to me, go sober, it's brilliant, like it does this to you, does that to you, you feel brilliant, I'll probably think, whatever, because I've got my own beliefs, and my own beliefs is when I'm pissed off, I'm having a good time. So then, but when you actually have that experience yourself, you learn, it's only your mind that's telling you that you're having a good time, but when you actually learn the benefits of going sober.
Oh, mate,
yeah.
When I quit drinking, I found gear 7, 8 and 9 in life. I was very good at operating hungover. Like I was expert level, like prestige level 12, like, Call of Duty there. All right, like I was good at it. Because through 14 years of being in the military, no matter what, if you want to soar with the eagles on a Thursday night, you got to peck with the pigeons on a Friday morning. Okay. Friday morning, we're all going out on a squadron run, we're going to get beasted. The waft of gin and beer down the back end of a squadron run, like, because everyone was out on a Thursday night, but I was very good at operating hungover. Yeah. And I was very fit at the time, and that was just the way it was. If I could do it hungover, on a Friday morning, I could definitely do it in the middle of the desert, like super sober, So, and that was the thing. So that was my litmus test. If I could do this 3/4 pistol, then I'm all right doing it any other day. And that's just a story that I kept telling myself, which was a lie, because I was covering up the shame with a good healthy dose of denial and wanted to keep numbing because I was fucking gutted and didn't want to talk about what happened.
So touching on that, so you joined the military when you was 18?
Yep, so 18 and a bit. I wanted to join up earlier than that, but my dad said no, and that was a good choice. That was a good thing, because young 18-year-old Tom was, young, naive, dumb, and too keen, too eager, and not very sort of the world. But I was joining the military to prove to myself that I had I had something about me, because I was walked over my entire education at school. My GCSEs, I did okay. I got through them, but I didn't engage. I was lucky with the grades I got, just because I had something about me and I could just guess the answer. Or
would you say like self-determination? Is it like a hunger? Or do you reckon it was just...
I was disengaged from school completely. I turned up because I was told I had to go to school. And this is, this is a universal thing for people that were picked on, bullied, maybe had a bit of trouble going on at home. Whatever the thing is, disengaging from school. You want to go out, I've got a creative mind. My imagination, will run off on a different tangent. Oh, butterfly! It's that I'm very creative, which is why I'm in digital marketing now. I'm very good at it. Sorry, that's blowing a trumpet. That's athlete. I don't do that, but I enjoy that creative piece.
Yeah.
At school, the only A I got.
Oh.
Bosh. There you go. Predicted U's and D's and E's and everything else. And that's okay, because I like art. I'm creative.
Yeah.
And art was where I went. Literally, I went to the art department at school breaks and lunchtimes, and at 3:05 when the school is ending, because I knew that was a safe place.
Yeah.
I was born to be in the military. I was good at hiding. I knew where they were, the group of lads that would, every time I saw them, smash me up or chase me or rob my Walkman and smash it on the floor just for fun, or rip apart my blazer or rub shit over my back. Tick, 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 all real things. So I got very good at escape and evasion.
Yeah.
And art was where I went. And I found a little room in the back. I could lock it, and I would just draw and doodle and sketch and art and just take this mind. I would escape to somewhere else.
That's what I was about to say.
Shame, denial, numbing, escaping away, cutting myself away from the world to basically make it okay.
Would you say that you used art as well to use, I guess, from what you experienced through school and stuff that you were saying, that maybe anger, frustration, hurt, did you use your feelings to transfer that into what you've done in art, or was it just an escape, would you say?
Well, my anger and everything came out at home. I was, I wasn't a good son, but I'll get to that in a second. But through my art, at the time of GCSE art, 2001, 9/11 for me. That just happened. So all of that, that was I'm joining the military. I already knew I wanted to join the military from a very young age. My granddad was in the Navy, frogman, double hard guy. And all of his stories, just I want a bit of that. And then I joined the cadets at 13, and I was even more sort of push in that direction. And I was right, okay, I'm going to, I think the military is what I want to do, because I don't really want to I want to work in an office, stuff like that. But 9/11 happened, and the war on terror, America, people going over to Afghanistan, and all of this stuff. And I'm 15, 16 years old, young, impressionable lad, give me a weapon, give me a uniform, I'm joining up. It was just that massive uppercut of service. I knew this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It was the universe putting something in front of me saying that this is now your purpose, service to your country. And I got sold by the news, I got sold by the papers, and I get that. But I know that if I didn't join the military, and if I'd have just gone out, I would have gone, I'd gone to work at some retail shop.
Yeah.
And my life would not be as I recognise it now. And I wouldn't have done all of the really good stuff that the military affords, 2% sheer like terror, like real bad stuff going on. Okay, 98% real good stuff. Okay, I mean, it's a great place to I worked in recruitment for a year just before I got out. I'm happy with the choice of doing that, and all of the guys and girls that I recommended to join at the time, I still sleep with a good conscience because it's a great career choice. Yeah. It just needs that one thing at the beginning that just says, look, we know the background that you've come from, okay, and what we want to do is coach you through that past so that you have a great career in the military, and in doing that, you don't communicate this with the person, right? A bit higher level stuff. We're curing, PTSD cases and suicide in veterans later on down the road. That's what we're doing there. But it takes someone to have the guts to address that shit early on, and they're too scared of saying that. That's why going to let's talk about suicide events, because guess what? Now we can talk about that in a safe container with people that really that wanted to be there.
Yeah.
But as soon as in the AFCO, the Armed Forces Career Office, you go, yeah, perfect. So Regiment Gunner, you want to turn up and join us here, and so let's talk about childhood trauma. There's got to be a real good narrative on how they do that. I get that, and yeah, maybe they might lose people and they want to get the numbers in, or maybe they don't. I don't know. I'm not in that world anymore. But if you address it right there at the very first ping, as a salesman, you address the objection early. You ask the question that later on is going to come up to get the answer. Okay, to then overcome it later on. Right? Every salesman knows that. Get that. But if you address it early on and make it normal, okay, this is a conversation we're going to have through your entire career. You're solving the problem before it's a problem. That's how I have it.
So you've done 14 years?
14 years, yeah. And that was, 2003 to 2017. It took us a year from seeing, year and a half, 2 years for, the towers going down for me to sort of join up and get in. And I passed out, I think it was October 2003, and then February, March, I'm in Iraq of 2004. Young kid, not really knowing what he's doing, still finding his feet in a career that he's just joined up to do.
Yeah.
And guess what, mate? You're out in Iraq. That was quick.
What would you say the experience was like when you first got into that culture of the military? Was it different? Because obviously you're in an environment in school where, like you say, you was bullied.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a different complexion to when you joined the military, would you say? Did you feel more safe?
I had something that I'd never had before, and that was friends. I had friendship. Good or bad friends, at the time I didn't know. I just had these people that I was on sea flight, one squadron. The first day on squadron, I'd literally passed out of basic training. We drove in a Ford. It's not a Ford Fiesta. It's Ford.
Not Focus.
Focus. Thanks, mate. Oh. Was you there? Ford Focus from Honington in Suffolk right the way down to Newquay in Cornwall. 3 of us and our lives in this car. I remember being pressed up against the window the entire 6-hour journey or whatever. We got there, emptied out the car, and within 10 minutes, we was shoehorned into a bar. There was our flight that they received us, and it was a pseudo initiation into the military culture. And guess where it started? Alcohol. Let's get them pissed and see what they're made of. Yeah. And that's what it was. And I could hold my piss. So I did all right. The other 2 lads didn't do too well. So I come off all right. But, alcohol was thrust into the mix. So, and I was okay with that because I already had a poor relationship with alcohol. I was like, I kind of enjoy this. And secretly, that's why I chose 1 Squadron, all right, because it was in Newquay, and I thought Newquay would be a great town to go out on the lash.
Okay.
It guided me there.
Would you say then you feel comfortable in your surroundings there? Would you say that the alcohol was one of the factors that contributed to it because it helped mask what you? Obviously, looking back, obviously at the time you wouldn't have really looked at it that way. Yeah. Would you say looking back it helped mask that?
Well, I mean, at the time, I didn't think there was anything wrong. I didn't recognise there was a problem. I'm young, you know. I'm 18-year-olds at university, they do the same thing. Pardon me. You know, I was an 18-year-old, skipped university, not doing that, never doing that. Went straight into, you know, a pointy-end job. And at 18, you know, I joined up, and the culture back then was alcohol, strong. That was it. The drinking culture was big. It's less now, much less now. But I'm running around with 10, 15, 18-year serving men that are tail end of Falklands, like Gulf War One, like hard men. They didn't have the kit and equipment. They didn't have internet. You know, they had to write these things called letters to send home to parents and loved ones, like 3-4 week communication line on a letter. So like these were burly dudes, and you know, here's an 18-year-old kid. Like, it's the bullying culture. It was still there. Yeah. It's just older bullies, but they meant well. They toughened me up, and I know that I needed that at that time. Yeah. You know, at school I didn't need that because that was just spiteful. But this was grown men knowing that if you're going to be in the military, you need to toughen up, mate. And they didn't communicate that, and they probably didn't think or mean that at the time, but I know that's what happens. Yeah. So, and I'm okay with that. I gave as good as I got. Yeah. Couple of times. Couple of times I deserved it. You know, a good thrashing. But other times I didn't, you know. And that's when you push back and you fight back. But that's the military, and that's the military of the day. And I absolutely loved it. It was a great career choice for me, because, you know, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to prove to little Tom that I was a man, you know. But in doing that, I put on this facade, this front of house that was paratrooper or soldier or, you know, bootneck or whatever the thing is, whatever the cloak is, warrior, you know, gunner. And in doing that, I've put me, my actual authentic true self, the artistic young lad that wants to just be creative and is like really peaceful. I pushed him like so far down here. He's hiding behind some oak tree like 1,000 miles away. Can't even hear or see him anymore. And there's this pissed soldier, cloak, fighter, making poor decisions, and all of that. And that was my career up until a particular point. So 2003 to tail end of 2008, that was Tom, like drunk all the time, massively overweight, not fit. I was probably 16, 17 stone at the time, fat. Just come out, well, we did 3 tours of Iraq. My third tour in Iraq was traumatic. A lot of rockets landed in 6-7 months, probably close to 600-700 rockets landing in confinement of where we were. I was like, right, I'm going to die. I gave up on life, and I was like, okay, all right, if I die, I'm okay. And I expected death because it was happening. And you know, we made these beds with metal sheet and concrete blocks around them. We nicknamed them coffins. All right. And you know, I fully accepted death, and that's tough to come back to now. Yeah. But when I came back to the UK, I didn't leave that acceptance of death. I was like, I'm living on borrowed time.
Yeah, like I say, so would you...
And the rest of my life, I've had that. Well, I'm still living on borrowed time. You know, I should be dead. I should be dead. And that mantra of I should be dead has been there, and it's just basically made this hum of not valuing my life all since that point, because I'm living on borrowed time and I should be dead. And that one should have had my name on it. That sort of thing.
Could you look at that as the fact that you're still alive is the fact that it's giving you a sense of purpose, instead of thinking it as on borrowed time and, like you say, just sort of humming away? Could you say that is actually, okay, I'm still here, why? What is it that this is trying to tell me? That I'm still here for a reason? Because, quite frankly, and to put it on the table, if you wasn't, and you wouldn't be sat here having this discussion wouldn't be able to be going out to people who we don't know. We just need it. So I guess that's sort of another aspect of looking at it, is that you are actually fulfilling the purpose, because you're pretty much on a mission to make that difference to someone or help someone. And from, even now, the whilst I'm talking and sitting here, I'm finding it inspiring, and in moments I'm getting lost in the conversation and I'm not even realising that this is a podcast that I'm sitting on. It feels like I'm just sat in a room with you talking about your story, your life, and it's inspiring for me.
That's what we want, right?
So I think look at it as you're serving a purpose. I'm 23, and I guarantee when we finish this episode, I'm going to probably be sat here for a minute, just sit back and just think, fucking wow. That would be my feeling, because that's my feeling now. And I've got the butterflies in my stomach talking to you about it all, and I haven't experienced it. I'm imagining it through your words, and I can't comprehend. I think it's quite inspiring.
Thank you, mate.
My honest opinion.
I mean, it's I don't class myself as special. No, I've had a few moments of that was special. I'm proud of a lot of things I've done. But you talked about this is your purpose. You're here for a reason. At the time, in that period of life, zero value for my life. Like I'm just mooching on by here. Like this is okay. Save a Warrior taught me and delivered this purpose, and it's not from when it started, before I actually went there. So around about this time last year, okay, Adam Gornell is talking about a webinar on LinkedIn, okay, about this thing called Save a Warrior, and they had a cool shield and it looked pretty cool, and it was done really nicely. But I would have skipped straight past that and carried on with my life. But I saw a flight sergeant that I used to work for, and I got so much respect for this guy. He was really Sea Flight 1 Squadron, very young, impressionable Tom. There's this leader that's looking after the guys, like imprint. That's where I need to be. That's what I want to aspire to be like. This big character. Vicky Pyshawn, I've embarrassed you there, mate, but thank you. He was going to this webinar. I was like, well, hang on a minute. This is about veteran suicide. Why is he going to that? And it just asked this question. And that's not where I thought of myself at the time. I was like, if he's going to that, I'm going to go. I'm going to look. I'm going to sign in for this. I'm going to look. It's free to join. And I clicked the attending on LinkedIn. So I've got the dates, got the link, the Zoom link, and then I've gone, hang on a minute. Let's see if I can get some more people to turn up to it. So I spoke to Adam. I said, mate, do you mind if I promote this webinar for you for free? I work in digital marketing. I just want to get more bums on the seats to spread the word of this, because I think it's valuable. I said, yeah, cool, go. Send it out there far and wide. And, the webinar was a success in their eyes. Jake Clark, who's the founder of Save a Warrior in the US, Adam was the ambassador for the UK. He was talking about bringing it to the UK, trying to get the mechanics in that to happen. And I didn't realise it at the time, but that's my Save a Warrior journey. That's the genesis. That's the start of it right there, through Dickie Pyshawn, because he was going to this thing, and that opened up the doorway for me. This path that I didn't recognise that was there all along, like getting help, was there. So I turned up. Adam and I have been great mates ever since. I've been promoting his work because he's a hypnotherapist and essentially life coach. He's got a program that guides people through their trauma as a paid service, and he's bloody good at it. I've received the help from him. I've had some coaching from him through hypnotherapy. Bloody hell, that's deep dive, I tell you. And you know, we are now bringing Save a Warrior to the UK. We're a real thing. We have a company number and everything. It's an actual thing. And, you know, on February next year, we're going to be delivering our first cohort.
Brilliant. So there's your purpose.
There it is. But I did not know that was my purpose until I sat the seat in July of this year, 5 minutes before going into this room, much like we're sat in now, okay, standing in a queue with 8 other men standing in front of me, and one of the staff there was saying, lads, just take this time just to ground, be present with where you are right now. To help you do that, just look forward at that beautiful scene, and there's this lake with a little hut down the end and trees, and there's just this little tunnel, and I'm looking down the left-hand shoulders of these 8 other men, and I was like, okay, I know why I'm here. I'm not here to do a recce for Save a Warrior to bring it to the UK. It was that was the universe uppercutting me, going, got ya. You're here for you. And I basically submitted. I submitted to the whole process. I started crying at that point, and pretty much 72 hours later, just didn't stop. It was just accessing that grief. It was tears of 37 years of just shit coming out, and it just kept coming out.
Do you think by doing that you was able to sort of take that deep breath and go, now we can move forward that little bit easier, leave that buckaroos you were saying earlier, and with that weight removed, it's a bit of an easier journey moving forward?
Well, it gave me language on how to understand what the hell is going on in my brain. Yeah, you know, confusion, hurt, abandoned, abused, lonely, trod on, you know, all of those negatives. I'm complete with everything that's happened in my past. Okay.
I think that's probably one of the most important things is
that actually that's a lie. There is one thing that I'm still yet to get truly complete on, and I need to work on that with my brothers over in America and Adam. So that's something on cohort 1 here in the UK. I'll have an opportunity in a safe container with other men. I can go, right, I left this on the table. You know, I need to talk about this, and I'll do that in that situation. Then, and
that's good, because like you saying that, and the fact that, and how you've just said it. The good thing is you're saying it because you know that to get that on the table, that in itself, just to say you're going to do that, is a big step. And then, like you say, because you've had the experience of what it was like to put everything else on the table, and the fact has helped you to become the person you're becoming, just that last little piece in that jigsaw puzzle, you're then able to look at it and go, completed that now. Now we can continue. Yeah. So I think I commend you. I think it's really important as well, because what you're saying is you have to put it on the table. It's like I was I see something the other day, and it was all about a glass of water, and it was like, how much does a glass of water? I don't know. Was it like the bottle? How much does this bottle weigh? You don't know. We don't know. We can't even guess it, could we? And it's like the weight of it don't actually matter. What actually matters is how long I'm holding on to it for. Mm-hmm. If I hold on to it for a couple of minutes, I'm not going to feel anything. If I hold on to it for a couple of days, my arm will ache, I'll be hurting. If I hold on to it for even longer, months, years, I'll be numb, paralysed, wouldn't be able to control what's going on in my mind. He was like, sometimes you just have to put a bottle down. And so you're saying, it's like...
Grief needs a witness.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And, you know, it's... You know, once we turn this podcast off and, like, we can chat, I'll witness something for you if you want to get it out, and we'll do the same. But you've got to be careful. You've got to choose where you do that and who you do that with.
100%. And you've got to do it in what is a safe space for you.
Yeah.
And not everyone's safe space is the same. No. Sometimes you need to do that behind closed doors, in an environment which is most suited for you. And that's what I mean. Some people don't even have to. And I think it's spot on what you're saying, because it relates to social, like men's mental health as well. Because some people battle their demons, and like some people would be going through therapy, counselling, like right now, but not necessarily tell other people about it, and that's okay, because you're dealing with that in your own safe space, which to you is in private, and that's fine, and that's brilliant, that's good. And some people deal with it like me. Like, I'm really open about like my story, just to try and give that inspiration to people to know that story, to just talk about it.
Noble cause, mate.
So I think that you're saying it's completely true in the sense of not everything has to be out in the open to with some exposure. Like doing it in private, that's just as important.
Yeah. I mean, I started my journey on Instagram. I received some like god awful news January 1st or 2nd of this year that a friend of mine had killed himself over Christmas, and I went quiet. I was devastated. Said with him, I was on basics with him, and I knew him through my career as well. And then I'm cooking a curry in the kitchen, like, of all things, and I'm there, and I got the camera, my phone, I popped it up whilst, you know, in the cupboard, and I just went live on Instagram, like off the cuff, proper, just went bunk. Got the twig now, aren't you?
Now I know where that
got it
come from.
So
yes.
And I'm there cooking a curry, and like this buckaroo, but in a good way, just went all out, and I just had this massive display of emotion and grief for Kempi, and I was like, well, I'm going to keep doing this, and I declared right there and then I was going to go off the cuff every Friday, no script, no nothing, just me, pure like send on Instagram Live, and if anyone wants to turn up and have a chat with me and do the same, like, we'll make this platform and everyone will hear and see it and all that. And at the time, that was the best thing for me, because I'm starting to get this release of...
Yeah.
And a couple of people warned me against it doing it at the time. I was like, look, I've got to do this because this is for me. I'm happy. I won't, you know, I said it here, is I won't give away anything that I don't want to give.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yep.
But that doesn't mean I'm hiding or lying. It just means I'm choosing my words.
Yeah.
At the time, I was like, don't worry about the words, just get it out there. And I was like, oh, butterfly. My brain would go, I'd start on one thing and I'd end on like whatever over here. But that was me. That was off the cuff. and they're all on Instagram. You could go back and you can flick through that and see it.
I was about to say, so we can find it on social media. We'll put all the links and stuff in there. So,
but go back to that first one, and I'll probably put a tag to that. That was the start for me going, right, okay, I cannot sit back and wait to hear of another lad that I know die from his own hand. And I was like, I didn't know it at the time, but that's the changing point of my entire life. My purpose now is deliver Sabre Warrior UK here at our site in Kabila in February. Every month we want to run a cohort of 10 men. That's 10 people that either have had suicide attempts in the past, suicidal ideation, or are drifting off course that badly with numbing drink, and that's kind of where they're going, but they don't want to admit it. And they've sort of they turned up through curiosity, or we've invited them to come. Can't force anyone, and it's for free. No one has to pay to turn up. They have to pay for their bus fare there. You know, that's their skin in the game. Just pay for the fuel to get there, and we'll feed you and look after you and treat you.
How do they access it?
So when I post the form online, because it's not live yet, I can't. We're not in a position for me to take a list of names. But you can find us. Our website is www.sabrewarrioruk.com. Wrong. .org. Excuse me.
So www.
SaveAWarriorUK.org.
Okay. Yeah. We'll put a link anyway, and we'll put that in there. And I had a little look. So I looked to try and be prepared and be curious about, just to try and give myself as much information. And what I loved was this, because one is too many.
Yeah.
That fucking hit.
Mate, it's mate, I'm sat with people that I made an appointment to sit with someone from this big house up in London that's really old, and they make big decisions, all right? And she sat there, and we literally she didn't pull a punch. She went, "And why another veterans charity?" And inside I'm like, ooh. And I gave a really measured answer, and we skimmed over it, and that was the end of that meeting. Really, I switched off to it, because I'm like, you're not the person I need to speak to here.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say and end with a drop mic was, because one is too many, and the current system is not fit. It's broken. And then just like, I'm out, because you're not listening to what I'm saying. And I think she said it with the right intention, like, you need to have the answers to this. And you know what? Thanks for that, because now you've given me the objection handle early, because all I've got to do now is just say, because one is too many, and that's the reason why we're doing this. Done.
I think that, because when I read it and I wrote that, and it was like, wow. Because you almost read it twice. You almost read it, then you read it again, and when you read it the second time, you read it a bit slower. So first I was like, because one is too many. Then I was like, because one is too many. And then it's like, wow. So.
And here's one thing as well. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go on.
Like, we're not just rocking up and trying to make this work. And sort of like figuring it out as we go on cohort one, and like, we'll make some mistakes, and then we'll learn from those mistakes. Our DNA is coming from 12 years of iteration of what works, what didn't work. Like, they changed the mold every cohort. They've got improved. They've taken stuff away. Like, it's now 3 days of intense. Like, this is what needs to happen to deliver Sabre Warrior, and it's got a 99.6% success rate. Wow. It's a suicide prevention program. That's a big percentage of success, right?
Yeah.
And
I think it definitely needs them. it definitely needs the exposure of.
Yeah.
And you say that.
When we bring it here, we're not reinventing the playbook. We're lifting it with permission. Jake's gone, look, you know, if you can do something with this, take it, run with it, take the whole thing. You have my blessing. We've got it here. We're carrying on what that language is over there. We might need to change some of the little things because they speak funny over there. They got this different way of like America, freedom. You know, we need to dial that down a little bit or change it for us. But when we put it here, man, I'm so excited because I cannot wait for that first 5 minutes of seeing these like 10 men just like, I have no idea what's about to happen here, but I know that we'll hold them. They will be so happy at the end of that 72 hours. I cannot wait for it.
I'm buzzing for it, I think. And it's like we go back. There's your purpose again. I want to ask you because I had it here, and I just want to just sort of jump back to you cycled to Rome.
Yes, I did.
2,000 miles in 20 days?
About that, yeah. Why? Okay. Righto. So, I wasn't being honest with myself. I left the military because I'd grown out of it. There were things going on that I was doing and I wasn't proud of, and I was like, okay, I'm out. I'm calling a line on this. It's not healthy for me being in the military anymore, and I ran away from it. Mm-hmm. Should have. You can't should because you should all over yourself. Sorry, ads. Right? I had the opportunity to get help, but I didn't take it. So, PVR'd, I'm out. Personal voluntary redundancy, I'm out. And in that year, because you press the button to get out, 7 clicks of heaven or whatever it's called, and in that year they tried to keep you in. And I was like, no, I've made my decision. It's taken me a long time to get to here. I'm happy with my decision. I'm out. So I thought, well, I need to mark getting out with something massive because I knew the power of transition and that initiation into the military. I needed something to get out. Otherwise, I would just walk out the gate and go, well, what the fuck now? So I planned this pilgrimage. I was going to walk it with a stick, traditional, just like stick over the shoulder and really just cash in my pocket and figure it out. Sleep where I slept, proper gump. Like, you know, when I went, you know, that kind of a thing. But I figured cycling would be a better use of time, you know, and the day I signed off, the day I left the military, I cycled out the front gate of RAF Halton. I turned left. I went through Wendover village. Okay, story, you don't need to know this, but I stopped and I was like, I've just left the military. And I had this 5 minutes of like, fuck, I could go back, but I kept going. And I ended up cycling from Wendover to London, stayed a night there. And then my good friend Ian Gwatkin, he joined me from London to Dover. He cheated and got the train back to London. That's okay. I then got across the ferry. I was the first bloke on the ferry. I cycled onto this ferry at Dover to Calais. I had no one else on it. Figures of 8s on my bike in this massive ferry. And I was like, and we started treading off. I was like, right, I've reached a point of no return. Like I'm off now. I could have gone back. I'm now heading into a different country, a different land, unknown territory. Flying through that flutter, mate, that was hard work. Shit scared. Unknown. I'm 18 years old again. You know, my life was on pause, really. You know, kids coming out of care, you know, 18-year-old. You're in there now. I felt the same. I feel the same now. So I'm there cycling through Calais, okay, and France, and I've got this map, and I'm zooming in. I'm panicking, like, oh, I'm going the wrong way, like flapping, like that first day in France. I fell asleep in a bush. In a depression that was literally an old explosion, like old hole from World War I or II or whatever. Just fell asleep in that freezing cold. Woke up the next morning and there was this mist, and it was freezing, frosty cold, April time. And I was like, right, just enjoy today. You didn't enjoy yesterday, just enjoy today. And I got the map, I folded it up, I put it right in the bottom of everything, and I said, what do you need to do? You need to go east. Let's go east. And I just went, east. Followed my nose. I had a compass, right, okay, east, keep going east. And I'm like, all right, I know I'm going to Strasbourg, so if I see a sign for Strasbourg, I'll take it, but I just kept going east. And that's when I started to, in my own way, heal. And I had a lot of time just pedalling.
I think, and you're also in your own mind as well.
Yeah.
When you're in your own mind.
I left all of that baggage at the side of the road.
Yeah.
All of that shit from what I thought was PTSD from America, from Afghan and Iraq, and all of those things. Didn't go back to childhood because wasn't thinking that it went back that far at the time, but. Yeah, I cycled all the way to Rome, mate. I hit Strasbourg, the Rhine. I took a right. I went south, Switzerland. Cool. Over the mountains. Italy. Keep going south. Rome. It was simple. Like the easiest route map ever. You just hit the river, turn right, hit the mountains, go over then. Don't worry about the other details. And I had the best time ever, man.
How did you feel at the end?
Gutted.
Did it come to an end?
Yeah, because there's a picture of me standing with Gary. My bike's called Gary, by the way.
If you get a picture over, we'll put it on.
Yeah, I'll find it. It's on my phone. I'll get you. But I'm stood there at at the Vatican. I was popping off to see the Pope. That's what I called it on Facebook. And the Pope weren't in. I got a certificate to say, yes, you're a pilgrimage. I went to the cathedrals and the churches and all of that along the way. I got the stamps. I did the thing. It was whether am I religious? Okay, so here's the undertone of this. Why am I doing this? It's a pilgrimage. I've gone to discover something. Am I religious? Do I coin myself as being Church of England or Roman Catholic or a Muslim or Sikh, whatever it is? No, I don't label it. There is this draw towards a higher power that I believe in now.
Okay.
Mixed in with nature, I'm happy. You put me in the forest, I'm instantly my heart rate will come down. I'm oh man, this is exactly where I need to be. Other people have it when they're at the beach and they're close to water. Your natural state is, your resonance is we're getting kooky now. You're sort of vibrationally comfortable in the right company. Put a Rottweiler in here, or an angry dog. Your vibrations are going to start doing something different, right?
That's an angry dog.
Absolutely not. Look at that. He's a puppy dog, man. He's got kind eyes, man. So I kind of lost where we were going. Here's butterfly. Oh, where are we going?
Yeah,
but.
You're talking about vibrations and...
Yeah, I cycled to Rome to find myself because I knew then that I would struggle like fuck.
Did you follow them?
I came back a very calm, happy, purposeful, chilled out cat. No buts, and that polish on the brass of Tom, it tainted. It was just I filled it up and there's a hole at the bottom of the bucket, and this good feeling I am chilled out, oh man, I feel great. Just emptied out real quick, probably 6 months to a year, and then I'm slipped back into old ways, numbing, making poor decisions, overworking, I've running the rails. I didn't know it at the time, but I'm sticking into shame a lot longer than I was usually, but I was holding on to it and not hurting other people with it. I was a different person, and I fell in love with a beautiful woman called Kate, and I met her around about the day that I pressed the button to get out of the military. There's the universe saying, you've done the right thing. Like, you've been rewarded with the hardest decision you've made in your entire fucking life, leaving the thing that you joined to have a life and a purpose. So you're leaving it now. Don't worry, mate. Here's this reward for the toughest decision ever. And it was at that point where I was like, I know I'm on the right track. And you get these little blue whale moments, these aha, like eureka moments. They come along and you don't recognise them sometimes. You've got to be in tune to it. If it feels good, and if it feels good, it generally is. If you're in good company and the decision gets made, you go along with it. It's a good. If you're in bad company and you're in a bad environment and someone makes a decision and you get that, you know the feeling like, oh, like it's a sometimes it's like 0.1 of a second, like, oh. If you go along with that, you're drifting off course. And I was very good at just going with the drift off course. But now I'm like straight as an arrow, man.
Fucking love that. What would be your words of wisdom or your advice to someone now who probably is going through that numbing, through that escapism, and they're struggling to find their way of getting onto that path? What would you advise them?
Honesty. You've got to be honest. You know, I'm a dishonest junkie, or I was. I'm healed. I'm out of that woods now. You know, I'm recovered. For so many years, I was lying about everything. Not that I was lying about, you know, like hurting people, but I was just holding it. I was not being true to my authentic, true self. Little Tom, who now sits here proudly in the centre of my chest, looking at the world, going, "Yes!" Like he's no longer behind this tree, hiding 1,000 miles away. He's right here. Be honest with yourself, and find out what that problem is, what that poison is, and make a decision to put it down. You know, because when you can do that and fly through that flutter for a couple of days, you will be rewarded with the positive outcome of that. I promise you it'll happen. And you might need a guide, you might need a coach, you might need the helping hand of someone that's done it before. You know, there are these organisations that usually are followed by the word anonymous, yeah, be it gamble, drink, you know, all sex, you know, all of those things. You know, they're designed for a reason. They're good places to go and hang out if you want to do some healing, or if you're just curious about the idea of healing. Just turn up. There are clubs on a Monday night, and we know the ones. Okay, just turn up. You know, that's that. If you're just curious about it, just turn up there. Save a Warrior is for veterans, police, fire, paramedic.
Yeah,
we've niched into those lanes.
So what I've got is providing life-saving and intervention care for serving and veteran members of the armed forces and first responder communities.
Correct. Yeah.
So if you're one of them and you're watching and you feel like it's something that you feel you need to go and explore, we're going to put all the details on there. We will put as much detail in the description as we can. I'll advise you to go and check it out. I checked it out and I think it's absolutely phenomenal what they are doing there. And Tom, Lewis said earlier, mate, that I didn't know you on a personal level coming into this. Lewis said I only met you briefly at the event, which was about a month ago now.
Yeah, it was a 5-minute how you doing.
This conversation, I've sat here, don't know how long it's been, but this I think this might be one of the ones. This is one conversation, and I've had many conversations with people, not just podcasts but in general. I think this is going to be one where I'll take most away from it in a good way. So I personally thank you for myself, and I think people watching this will appreciate the person you are and what you're doing now to try and help others. So thank you, mate. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers, George. All right. Thank you very much, George, from A Problem Halved podcast. It's been a pleasure being here. For everyone else, I just want to make aware through our website, www.saveawarrioruk.org. If you click through there, you'll see when you scroll down an event that we're holding at the moment. It's a fundraiser. Myself and Adam, we're going to run around the Isle of Wight, which is 71 miles in one go. We're setting off at 11 minutes past 11 on the 28th of October from the Veteran Hotel Bar in Ryde. Turn up if you're there, if you want to be there and see us off. But we're raising money to fund the first cohort, as we've been talking about here for Save a Warrior. Thanks again, George. It's been a pleasure being here, mate. Appreciate the opportunity.